Welcome to the GTN Show.
Oh, yeah, you thought you'd heard the last of it, but it's time to discuss the Paris water quality yet again as we gear up to the Paralympic triathlon events.
Yeah, and we had a triathlon cancelled in Norway because the locals drove on the course and removed the road closure signs.
Oh. Mathieu van der Poel has gone for a rather speedy run.
And an exciting field has been announced for the T100 Ibiza.
All right, before we get into the tri news, a few things spotted. Did you see the news about the Challenge Sandfjord?
Yeah, bit of noise on social media. Cancelled at the last minute. And when we say last minute, we mean last minute.
I mean, literally, everyone was in their wetsuits waiting to start.
Yeah, they were on the jetty ready to jump in. And then I was like, we're pushing the race back 10 minutes, and then we're pushing the race back 10 more minutes, and then 10 more minutes, and then cancelled. And apparently this was because locals were not enthusiastic about the road closures and supporting the event, and they basically felt like the event had invaded their space. There was talk about like tractors on the course and taking away the road closure signs, and even thumbtacks being thrown on the course. Yeah, so they cancelled the whole event, which, yeah, very frustrating for anyone who had travelled up there to do it.
Yeah, and I heard from some of the athletes, sort of reading a few comments, some of them were just a little underwhelmed by just the preparations for the event. The briefing was hard to find. It also wasn't in other languages other than Norwegian. And then the first thing they heard from the event, post-event, was if you don't hand your timing chip back, you'll get charged €300 or something. So they're like, oh, hang on, right? Now, to be clear, a lot of these challenge events are run sort of in a franchise structure. So this isn't necessarily challenge families' fault, it's more on the event organizer, but oh god, I do feel for them as well, with the locals kind of coming and ruining the day a bit.
Yeah, it's really not cool. In fact, after the cancellation, the Norwegian national team coach, who actually just resigned, we'll get to that in a minute, Arvold Tveiten, said, "It's so sad, on a day like this you're not so proud to be Norwegian. Triathlon promotes a healthy lifestyle and a positive mindset that have changed many people's life, and likely the ones who sabotage this could benefit from a more positive attitude and mindset." Which, yeah, probably the feeling of most of the people who were there on that jetty when the race was cancelled.
Yeah, pretty gutted. Talking of Arvold, he has just put up a post on Instagram. Wow, it's kind of a heartfelt post, really. Post-Olympic Games, kind of collecting his thoughts. Yes, maybe not the Olympics they were hoping for as the Norwegian national team, but also announcing his departure from the team as sort of the national head coach for many years. I think it was 12 years with the federation. And yeah, officially coming to an end. And also now moving on to the Norwegian swimming national team, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So watch the space, eh?
And then there was this we noticed on the internet.
Oh, Mathieu van der Poel heading out for a run, but also 10 kilometres at 4:34 per kilometre, and just 114 beats per minute, if you believe the heart rate. But
wrist-based heart rate, maybe. Anyway, still, it's pretty impressive. He just went for a jog in 46
Casual.
10K. Yeah,
very cool.
Going to see him doing a triathlon soon. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he did that was rumoured after
we're still waiting for Tom Pidcock to do one though. So yeah.
Patrick Lange and Björn Geesmann have announced that they are parting ways. Now, they've been working together for many years as athlete-coach partnership, and I'm trying to remember how many years it's actually been. 5 years. Some phenomenal performances and results in that time. But yeah, they are parting ways. No reason as to why.
Not given, no.
But yeah, there we go.
A natural party, and it doesn't seem like there's any animosity there. And no announcement yet from Patrick Lange who he's working with or who his new coach is going to be, if it's not maybe just going to be himself.
Be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah. Moving on to a bit of ultra running now. Actually, this week is quite an exciting week in the ultra running world because we've got UTMB, the 100 mile and the CCC events taking place on Friday, and many other sort of distances around that over the course of the week. But aside from that, we've also had a couple of very impressive adventures and accomplishments going on. Jake Catterall has just run the new Via Alpina Red Route, which basically runs across the entire length of the Alps, which is 2,000 kilometres, 110,000 metres of elevation. He's done that in 35 days. That's
new FKT there, averaging around 60 kilometres a day through the mountains for 35 days straight. It's
Actually, yeah, that is
pretty epic.
Mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely amazing. And also, I mentioned last week about Killian Jornet's adventure he's undertaking at the moment. He's trying to summit as many 4,000-metre peaks in the Alps at the moment, all through human power, and that means cycling between some of the peaks and then running and hiking up and down them. But I love this post that he put up. Well, it's very funny. Basically, where he parked his car a couple of weeks ago before all of this, the police have now decided they need to close that road and his car is in the way. So they've contacted him whilst he's going up a 4,000 metre peak and said, oh, could you move your car? Obviously, he can't. He's a good sort of 2,500 kilometres away. And so he managed to get some signal, open his car from his phone and allow them to move it. But he's basically said things he didn't expect to be doing when you're at 4,000 metres trying to find signal to open your car.
He's definitely got a more modern car than mine. I'm pretty sure I can't open my car on my phone, but yeah.
Be like, tow it.
At least he had a solution. He didn't have to run 2,000 kilometres back to move it for them.
It's really funny. And also, I love this.
My word, Kristian Blummenfelt. Yeah, I mean, the talk after Frankfurt was all about that toilet stop, wasn't it? So he decided to shed some light on it.
Yeah, so he's still
maybe a bit too much light, to be honest.
This is in the Norwegian Method podcast. So after Frankfurt, obviously, many of us saw him pop into the Portaloo partway through, and he had to say, I wasn't able to get out my morning before the race because normally I wake up 4 hours before what you did the day before, or like the normal rhythm, even though I slept well, like my stomach wasn't into that rhythm. So I still had unfinished business when I started running, so it wasn't really a big surprise. So he knew it was just a matter of time during the race. He explained, I was trying to hold it back for as long as possible, as there were a few times I ran through the aid station. Should I go in? I didn't want to get to the toilet when it was occupied. I think the left side was occupied, but luckily the right was available, so I didn't have to undress and stand there and wait. Also, I was running with a gap of 20 seconds to second place for a few kilometres. I was trying not to stress and potentially being caught up. I could have... oh God, this goes on.
He goes into a bit too much detail, to be honest, about whether he was done or not and couldn't decide. He decided to give it an extra 5 seconds after he might have been able to get away with getting off the toilet for a total pit stop of 25 seconds, which is pretty impressive.
That is F1 quality pit stopping there in an Ironman triathlon.
A bit too much information, to be honest. It's all a little bit too familiar for me in my racing days. But I'll give anyone a blow-by-blow of it.
The hardest bit is trying to get the tri-suit back on afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. When you're all wet. And you've got to remember the race number belt, because that's around your waist and then it's around your ankles.
You don't want to get a kilometre down the road and realise.
It's a nightmare.
Hey.
He did it really well, though. All right, on to the news, and we're looking ahead to the Paralympic Games. The triathlon happening this Sunday and Monday, the 1st and the 2nd. And it is a sprint distance triathlon over 11 different categories for the Paralympics. Hopefully it's happening on Sunday and Monday, we should say.
Yes.
Because, again, there's more water quality issues or concerns.
Well, yeah, actually, some latest results are actually showing that the bacteria levels are actually slightly higher. Now, the venue is exactly the same, so starting from the same bridge, but also to add to all of this, the current is even stronger from what I understand.
Well, yeah, but even if it's as strong as it was for the able-bodied, obviously there's a lot more complications that brings in with Paralympic athletes swimming against a 1 metre per second current. Essentially they can't do it. So possibly the answer would be to shift the start upstream so that you only swim downstream, and downstream only. But obviously then the complication comes in that if it's just 750 metres, the swim's going to be significantly shorter, and that complicates things because the swim length is a specific duration so that it kind of balances out. They kind of have head starts depending on your factoring, which is what they call the level of difficulty that you have in your swim leg, for example. So some people they'll all be in wheelchairs for the bike and run section, but they may have more trunk function than other athletes. And so their factoring comes in as to the distance they swim. And if they swim a way shorter distance, it's going to completely change the outcome of the race. So they could be taking them as much as 1,400 or 1,500 meters upstream from where they should have started, from the 750, so that it's the same length of time in the water that they've planned for.
I've got to say, this one sounds even more complicated than the able-bodied.
Yeah, really complicated.
The contingency obviously is still a duathlon like we had for the able-body race. So rather than a 750-metre swim, it would be a 2.5 kilometre run.
Yeah. Well, the first contingency is that they would move the Sunday race to the Monday, but let's be honest, if the water's not good enough on the Sunday, it's probably not going to be good enough on the Monday. And then, as Mark says, we're looking at a duathlon for the Paralympics, which would be, well, not great. It is, and also a point-to-point swim is complicated. They're smaller waves than you would have in the able-bodied, so obviously you don't need to get 55 people on a boat all the way to the far end of the course. It's more like 15 to 20 in each wave, I believe. So a little bit more practical, but still really complicated to get everyone almost a mile up the Seine to get them into the start of the swim.
Have you also read about the transition? Because obviously, for some of the athletes, they won't be able to get up the 36 whatever
stairs
steps.
That they
so actually, they're doing the transition down at water level, and then they basically got to go straight up the ramp and out. But I mean, that's got to be quite hard from the off.
Yeah,
quite a start.
It's a brutal start, So, Well, as we say, there's 7 events supposed to be happening on Sunday, the 1st of September, and the other 4 events happening on Monday, the 2nd of September. Fingers crossed they all do happen, at least, and fingers crossed they all have a swim too.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many amazing athletes racing, so I'm very much looking forward to tuning in. But one in particular that always stands out is Jets Platt. Obviously a phenomenal athlete. I think he won 3 golds at the last Olympics across triathlon and 2 of the road hand biking events. This year, he's going after 4 events. So his schedule is on the 2nd of September, the triathlon. On the 4th, he's got the time trial hand bike. And then on the 5th, he's got the road hand bike. And then on the 8th, he's got the marathon, which is a new event for him. Actually, he took part in the London Marathon in 2023 and came 2nd. So he's got a lot of confidence going into it.
Yeah, that's a lot of events. And he can't really afford for any of them to be delayed. Can he? Because that's going to be difficult for the next event. Well, good luck to him. We'll be watching closely. Exciting, Paralympics kicking off this weekend. And also, we have the start list for T100 Ibiza announced. And wow, we've got some very exciting athletes announced, but also some interesting. Yeah, it's a very strong field. In fact, all of the 17 contracted T100 female athletes are on the start list. Which is interesting because that's not happened in the first 3 events at all. And I guess, though, this is the contract starting to exert its force because they were contracted to a specific number of events across the series. And if you missed 1 or 2 in the first, you can't actually miss anymore. You have to show up. Which is interesting because this race happens 6 days after the Ironman World Champs in Nice for the women. So not a lot of recovery time to go from a full distance Ironman to a T100. And there are actually 7 of those 17 contracted women who are doing both, or actually on the start list for both. India Lee, Lucy Charles Barkley, Kat Matthews, Laura Phillip, Chelsea Sodaro, Anne Haug, and Marjolaine Pierre are all up for both of those 6 days apart. You've got to wonder whether, because obviously they've signed a contract for a number of events and they have realised, well, I've got to do this event if I uphold my side of the contract. I mean, I wouldn't write off all 7 of those athletes. I think some of them might actually be able to turn around a 6-day turnaround, although it also does depend how your Ironman World Championships goes too. Yeah. But they're also up against some significant power in the likes of Ashley Gentle, Imogen Simmons, Lucy Byram, also an exciting name in the mix here, Flora Duffy, and also we've got Taylor Spivey getting in the mix. And Taylor Knibb is back too. Taylor Knibb, yes. So it's going to be very exciting, even if none of those who did these are firing on all cylinders. Still a very exciting race coming up in Ibiza. On to your race news, and we had the Super Tri Chicago just 1 week after the Super Tri Boston, with all the biggest names in sport fresh off their Olympic Games form, going head to head. Last week we saw Alexis get it over Hayden Wilde again. This time, Hayden Wilde was the clear winner. He was way ahead of everyone else, and Alexis faltered quite badly, actually. He just didn't seem to have it on that very first swim, ended up like 44 seconds behind and just he was just out of it. He just wasn't in the race.
I guess that's the issue of this race. I mean, basically, it's a 300-metre swim, a 4-kilometre bike, 1.6-kilometre run, 3 times through, continuous, no stopping. So if
nine-leg triathlon.
Yeah, so if you're down out of that first swim, it's very hard to then get back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he just didn't seem to have it, and he had a bad first swim, and that was it. But it wasn't smooth sailing for Hayden Wilde. He did have a lot of pressure. He actually had Leo Berger and Vasco Velosa really right with him at the start of the last run. So it wasn't exactly like he just cruised off in the front. But that last run was fire. No one was staying with him. He definitely had a point to prove. So he took the win ahead of Leo Berger, with Vasco Velosa in third, Matt Hauser in fourth, and Tim Helwig in fifth there. And Hayden Wilde actually goes to the top of the standings in the Super Tri League with 2 more races to go.
Very well earned. Over on the women's side, it was Georgia Taylor-Brown that took the tape this week ahead of Cassandra Beaugrand in second and Taylor Spivey in third.
Yeah, both of those from Crown Racing, the same team, so they're doing well on the team standings. The next Super Tri is on the 8th of September in 2 weeks' time in London. And apparently there's tickets available, so you actually can watch it if you're around London.
We also had Ironman Canada this weekend. Now, unfortunately, the swim was cancelled. This is an exciting race because also Lionel Sanders announced that he was going to be doing the Ironman, rather last minute. He did, in fact, take the win on the men's side. Apparently, obviously, they set off in a time trial format on the bike, and I saw Sam Appleton's post. He just couldn't stick with Lionel. He was just way too strong, and he was gone, and that was it. No one saw him again. Sam Appleton took second ahead of Jason Poel in third. Over on the women's side, it was Sarah True that took the win there, ahead of Jodie Robinson in second and Deborah Eckhouse in third.
Frustrating to see another swim cancelled.
I know.
Apparently it was like 13-degree water, and it was getting colder, so they were like, not safe. There also was the World Triathlon Long Distance Triathlon Champs in Townsville, Australia. I'm actually surprised that this World Champs is still going. It seems to be a little bit... World Triathlons are partnered with T100, right?
Yeah.
For their long distance. And at the end of that, they're going to crown, officially that was a statement, the long distance world champion from that, right? So what is this then? Also a long distance world championship.
There was something around that earlier on, wasn't there? With a bit of confusion, it seemed, between PTO and World Triathlon.
Anyway, they still had their champs, and it was won by Charlene Clavel from France, and it was in Australia, of course. Marta Legaunik in second, and Julie Emiolo from Italy in third.
Yeah, on the men's side, it was Antonio Lopez that took the win ahead of Stephen McKenna in second and Louis Neyart in third. And
then there was 70.3 Tallinn in Estonia, the 70.3 European champs for the women. Caroline Poel was in first ahead of Kat Matthews with Solveig Loftseth in third.
Yeah, Caroline Poel, what a phenomenal bike from her. I mean, she just rode away from the field.
Well, she came out the swim first, and everyone thought, well, she's definitely getting caught.
I did. I was following it, tracking it, thinking, oh yeah, Kat's going to reel her in. Nope. Just kept pushing on.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah, so very, very impressive. Over on the men's side, it was Panagiotis Petardis that took the win there. I've absolutely butchered his name. I did learn it the other week and absolutely butchered it this week. But what was really impressive, we were just talking about this, he almost did a fartlek on the run.
Bit of weird tactics. He did like a surge to break his competitor with like 11 kilometres to go on the run.
Wow.
Which seemed a little unnecessary.
Like more than just a little surge, like a full-on sprint pass from what I hear.
And multiple surges too, which also seemed that as Leonard Arnold just kind of kept cruising at his pace.
Yeah, well,
anyway, it worked because he ran a 1:09. So.
Yeah, well, Leonard Arnold took second and Helle Geens in third. And now for Tri Spy. Last week we gave you this image. Let's see how you guys got on.
This eye.
Oh, who could it be? Frank Mimman said Alistair Brownlee. Oh, close. Dakila Moti. Laura Phillip.
Yeah, but
Rogo Tad.
Colder.
Rogo Tad. Anna Haug.
Colder.
I can understand that one, actually. Well, the image is... It's our very own James.
This guy. I don't know where they found this photo from. It's from a race start some time ago.
You look very clean shaven.
It was me and no one got it, so Mark's chuffed because he won that one.
Anyway, moving on to this week's photo, and wow, check out this goatee. Hey.
Goat?
Oh, wow.
Is that a clue?
I don't know.
Was it just a goatee?
Couldn't be, don't know.
Yeah.
Do your best. Let us know in the comment section down below.
Say what? What?
All right. Some of the best comments we spotted this past week. And, well, I had to have a little look through our video with Joe Skipper. Retro pro versus modern amateur. Joe Skipper being that retro pro, me being the modern amateur.
Yeah, we were just there for the comments on what Joe was wearing. Everyone was in there for the comments.
It seems like you guys absolutely loved it. If you haven't checked it out already, please go and do so. We took part in the Triathlon Allgäu, the oldest triathlon to still exist in Germany, and well, Joe was quite a sport. So a couple of great comments I thought I'd read out. So JDW Maguire said, Joe Skipper equals what a champ. Thanks for this brilliant spectacle with Mark. GTN, you did good. Well done. Yeah. It was a great edit.
And Sinens Tinkaya said, how many athletes gave up because they could not stop laughing at Joe? And Joe was clearly wearing he was wearing Speedos and a singlet from the 80s. Viewer discretion is advised on this if you are planning to go and watch it.
He was certainly a fan favourite out there. The amount of cheers that he was getting on course. I mean, there were often quite a few sort of startled looks from spectators and then a delayed like, oh, wait, what, amazing.
Covering their children's eyes.
Absolutely awesome. As I say, go check that one out. It's a fantastic video.
Yeah, coming up on the channel later this week, we have a video analysing how much it costs to do a triathlon or be a triathlete. A little interesting dive into exactly how much you can expect to pay if you're going to be a triathlete next year.
It's made me consider whether this is the right sport, if I'm honest.
The range is wide, let's say that.